Hi, my name's Joe Houghton. I'm a photographer living in Dublin in Ireland, and this is a video in my series Behind the Shot, where I take a look at a shot that I took and just give you the story behind it, the settings and things that you need to think about to get a shot like this yourself. I shot this particular image of a beautiful African girl at a tribal ceremony in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa back in 2015. And we had been invited out by some friends who kind of knew about this ceremony and where and when we should go. It wasn't really an open invitation, so we were very lucky to get an invitation to this ceremony. And the ceremony is called the Reed Dance ceremony. And it's part of the kind of cultural heritage of South Africa. In past times, when the tribal leaders wanted to choose a new wife, they would have all the village maidens parade out before them, and then they would make their choice for wives or concubines, and that would be that. And this is still kind of practiced today, although the meaning behind it of taking a wife is less prevalent than it used to be, although it is still happening in some areas of South Africa. But the other main reason behind this ceremony these days is to combat the spread of AIDS by encouraging continued virginity for young girls. So this is the Reed Dance is a chance for the young girls to come, and they're all checked, and then they get a white daub on their forehead to prove that they're still virgins, and it has done a lot in recent years, apparently, to stem the rising tide of AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases in Africa. So anyway, we turned up at dawn for the ceremony, which involves all the girls in the village being led out of the village by one of the matriarchs, and also a representative of the king. And it was a very, very cold morning. So we were well wrapped up, and normally apparently this ceremony involves all the girls kind of being naked from the waist up, but the poor things were frozen, so they were all wearing t-shirts and little wrappings and things, and a lot of them looked quite miserable early on in the morning. Later on they lit some fires, and there was great excitement and dancing and singing around the fires. So as you can see from the shots here, it was a morning of colour and of cultural interest. A lot of the kids were really enjoying themselves, and they obviously weren't used to being photographed, and the fact that we were there with our cameras, they played up to the camera. Everybody wanted to be photographed. So we've got shots like the three girls here, and they were all quite interested in us with the cameras, and wanted to be photographed and seen. Here you can see a little later on. They were all gathered around the fire. It was quite scary at times, because those fires were fairly big, and they were kind of getting quite close to the fires to stay warm. But it was a fabulous morning, and you can see they're all wearing the kind of native beading around their necks, and then these wraps that they have the name of the king on the wrap, South African motifs and things as well. This was the guy who was standing in for the king, and he was doing a lot of leading of the chants. He had a drum, and he was running up and down drumming and singing while the girls were being paraded and looked at. And here we see the village matriarch applying the white daub on the head after the girls have all been off to be checked. And obviously this is quite a big thing for the girls to get this. They regarded this as quite a solemn moment when they were when they were getting this white daub on their forehead. As you can see, I took a number of shots on the day, but my favourite of all of them has to be this shot of the beautiful African girl just looking up into the distance. If we have a look at the settings, I'm in Lightroom here, and it shows all the information that the camera stores about the shot. You can see that this was shot at 1/200th of a second at f5. Yeah, I was using the 18-200 Nikon lens at 180 millimeters and an ISO of f5 to give me a nice shallow depth of field, which is quite important when you're shooting portraits like this. So you focus on the front eye, and a shallow depth of field like f5 keeps the face pretty much in focus, but then throws the background out quite dramatically. And I positioned myself so that the background was a good 40 or 50 feet away from her. So that really gives the background a lot of chance to really blur out, which brings the sharpness of the face and the hair into, you know, starker relief, which is what you're looking for in a portrait like this. But the wonderful detail of the beading and of the braiding of the hair all works beautifully here. From a compositional point of view, her kind of the bridge of her nose is pretty much in that thirds intersection point. If you're using the rule of thirds, vertical thirds line here, horizontal thirds line here. I suppose classic composition would say that you would put her face over here if she's looking towards the left of the shot like this, but had I moved her back further, I would have lost her hair, and I wanted to I just wanted the whole, you know, the neck and the hair, the line of the hair and the neck brings the eye up into the frame and, you know, to the eyes, and she's still got some negative space on the left hand side to look out into. So I think it works quite well as a composition, and it's certainly done very well in some international photo competitions, and it was also published by Africa Geographic. I sent them a number of these shots as a story, and they used that to publish. ISO 2800. It was relatively early in the morning, and to get a shutter speed of a 200th of a second to ensure, you know, that everything is nice and crisp, I had to push the ISO up to 2800, which is relatively high, but with modern cameras that's well within the boundaries of, you know, acceptable use, and certainly there is no added noise evident in the shot from going up to 2800 ISO. Certainly not on the D810, which is what I was shooting that day. When you have got a subject like this girl, who, you know, is stunningly beautiful, try and shoot a number of different shots, get them from different angles. You can see up at the top here we have a shot of her. They had these gourds that were decorated with the local beading. There was obviously some local significance to holding these gourds up. A lot of the girls were asked, kind of when we were photographing them, asked us to photograph them holding these gourds like this. So again, there's another kind of angle of shot, and I also you know, moved around her and tried to shoot her from a number of different angles as well. Processing into black and white as well as color, just to see you know, what came out. So when you have got a you know, a good subject, then try and make the most of it. And when you are out in a fantastic shooting situation like this, remember to try different shots it's quite easy, you know, if you're focusing on portraits, to just shoot headshots. And as you can see from this group of shots, I did shoot quite a number of headshots, on head and shoulders shots. This girl here, quite a kind of direct gaze was one, and this girl here, another one. There we are. But as well as that, I tried to get some idea of the atmosphere. So this is a wider angle shot. It's 170mm, but I'm shooting from further back, so I'm getting more in. So it looks to be at a wider angle. And then again here, some of the chanting and the singing around the fire. But you can see they all, quite a number of them still look very cold. There's smoke in the air there. This is at 70mm. So again, we're getting a wider field of view. And then keep an eye out for other interesting shots. Now, you know, the girls with their beautiful headdresses and braids and everything were an obvious shot. But I became aware that there were a number of old men also in the party who had been brought along. Apparently, they were the village ndunas, they were the village elders, and they were brought along just to make sure that none of the lads got too frisky with the girls. And they all had little knobkerry sticks, and they were patrolling basically the girls and keeping the young lads who were hanging around at the periphery away from the girls. So I thought that they would also make quite good subjects, and so, you know, again, positioning myself so that there was a good deal of separation between them and the background. And then these were obvious black and white conversions. The black and white look for these particular portraits, with the detail of the skin and the beards, and really is brought out much better in black and white than it is in colour. So there's one, and then these three guys, 1 and 2 and 3, and as you can see, it was cold. These guys were well wrapped up in heavy coats and balaclavas and whatever. Again, focus on the eyes. Try and get that eye contact. It almost always improves a portrait if you can get direct eye contact. Although, you know, saying that, I broke my own rule with my African Maiden shot, because she's looking off camera into the distance. The chief who was leading the chanting was a real character, and you could see that he was enjoying it, and all the kids were enjoying his antics. But again, you know, the matriarchs walking around, just kind of keeping the girls in check, and all the rest of it were wonderful. So it was a super chance to shoot a lot of different types of shot. Here we've got movement, and we've got, you know, a sense of the noise and the action. Here he's just between performances, if you like, just thinking about his next performance. But again, I just liked the idea here of the different layers of the foliage blurred in front of him, then a short depth of field. I'm shooting at f2.8 here, so I focus on him. Everything in front of him and behind him blurs out, and he pops out in the middle. Just the incongruity of this maiden in her traditional dress, and they all have their mobile phones, even in, you know, kind of rural Africa. I loved this girl's smile. She just was enjoying herself so much. So I just tried a slightly different shot here, just to blow the background out a bit, and just maybe set her apart from the background. So again, you know, you're shooting digital, try these different things. They all give you a chance to to experiment and get different shots. A shot here just looking back over the shoulders of some of the girls around the fire. Fire is quite difficult to focus on, but focusing on the girls and then having the fire in the background, fairly slow, 250th of a second. The fire has a bit of time to move because it's moving very fast, and being blurred out there just brings the eye to the foreground and the detail of the girls' heads. So that was the shoot that we did in KwaZulu-Natal at the Reed Dance.